Collegiate gymnastics world moved to Gainesville today for one of the most anticipated competitions of the season. The #1 team in the country is coming to town, the Oklahoma Sooners. They're coming off the bus to face the #5 team in the country, the Florida Gators, two of the favorites to win the NCAA championship. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Welcome inside the O-Dome. Hello, everyone. I am John Roethlisberger, joined by Olympic silver medalist Sam Pesek, Olympic champion Ali Raisman. You guys, at the beginning of the year, these were two teams a lot of people had on the final day vying for that national title.
John, I've had this competition circled on my calendar for a long time. This is the first time this season that we get to see Oklahoma and Florida side by side in the same roof and the same judges. I'm expecting it to be close.
Well, no one can argue that both of these teams do fantastic gymnastics. So I think it's going to come down to landings and which team has the most mental toughness to put a complete meet together from start to finish.
On paper, this one's going to go wire to wire. The stars are out tonight, too. These teams full of stars. Allie, let's start with a young one for the Sooners.
Mackenzie Estep has had a sensational start to her freshman career. Just last week, she stuck both of her vaults, got a 9.975 and a perfect 10, becoming the first freshman in all of NCAA this season to get a 10.
Well, Kayla DiCello is just reaping the benefits of her hard work, coming back from injuries that kept her out of college competition for 2.5 years. Boy, she's putting up some solid scores this season. She's competing so confidently, and guess what? She's adding an event tonight. We're going to see her floor debut.
Yeah, first time in the all-around this season for Kayla DiCello. That will be fun. Well, we've got the fourth member of our team, and it's Taylor Davis, and she's got more on the Florida Gators.
Yeah, John, Florida looks to bounce back here tonight following their first loss of the season last week at Missouri, including a 48.475 on bars, their lowest bar score since 2010. Head coach Jenny Rowland told me this team is looking for redemption against themselves. The athletes held a team-only meeting on Monday, addressing some adjustments and the mentality needed in this top 5 matchup. The word they're bringing into tonight is grittiness. And John, keep in mind, the last time Florida struggled was a few weeks ago at Auburn. The very next meet, they returned here to the O-Dome and posted their season high.
Well, they are going to have to look at a big bounce back. That Missouri performance is one that head coach Jenny Rowland would just soon forget. In her 11th season here as the head of this Gator team, her tenure started at the end of a three-peat for the Florida Gators as national champions. And the Gator fan base, they've been waiting for that 4th national title ever since. They've gotten close, but I tell you what, they have got a roster this year that is as good as any that she has ever had. So we'll see what they can do with it as we proceed through the season. Here's how this meet works. This is the format. 6 gymnasts compete on each event. The top 5 scores count, so they can drop the low score, each team. So if you have a miss, not the end of the world, but don't have 2, that is when you'll have to start to count those low scores. You add them up, highest score wins. And the home team, the Florida Gators, as you see Kayla DiCello getting ready to go, will start on the vault. They'll end on floor exercise. We call that Olympic order. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma Sooners will start on the uneven bars, and they will end on the balance beam. So the first rotation, guys, we've talked about Florida's vault all season. On paper, tremendous, as good as anybody, but has not performed. How important is it right now to get their best performance on this event?
Well, Kayla DiCello has gotten so comfortable in this leadoff position. She likes going first, and she continues to be more controlled on that landing. I'm saying it right now, the teams that get 9 nines to begin with, that's the team that's going to win this meet. Oh.
Man, she nailed that in warm-ups too. And
yeah, man, she just really went for the stick. She blocked off and didn't quite get her chest up enough.
I've loved to have seen her bend her legs. She landed almost a little lock leg, makes it very dangerous on your body. Glad to see she's okay though.
Yeah, not a great start for the Gators. A little bit foreboding for things to come because they've had their struggles here. Now over to bars. This is Lily Peterson, tremendous for the Oklahoma Sooners in this leadoff spot.
And Lily Peterson is battling illness, so she hasn't had the repetitions this past week that she's used to. And when you're sick, the endurance is so much more exhausting and harder.
But Allie, you and I watched her warm up, and we could not tell one bit The coaches say she's so dependable, so rain or shine, sick or healthy, she's gonna make these routines, and that's why she's in this leadoff.
She could not do that routine better. I'm not saying it's gonna be a 10, guys, but she's not capable of doing that better than she just did.
Well, last week, Lily got a 9.925 on bars, and I thought she was underscored. I don't see where they take a deduction.
Really strong handstand, vertical position, good pressure away from the bar on that pack salto release move.
And Oklahoma coaches compare Lily Peterson to Audrey Davis, who was one of the most consistent athletes in all of NCAA.
Gabby Dizador in the 2 spot now, 9.625 for Kayla DiCello. They don't want to count that.
She was switched into this position in the warm-up because she stuck it cold. I watched her, it was so good, but she had the opposite mistake, which sometimes happens when you watch your teammate go and under-rotate it, then you want to go and give it a little more juice so the same mistake doesn't happen with you.
And it will be interesting to see what the judges take, because if a large step they consider 3 feet or more is 2/10 deduction, I'm going to guess that she's going to get 2/10 on that.
Oh, that was for sure a 2/10 step, and her other foot slid. If this gets a 9.8, I'll be surprised. 2 vaults that we both said they stuck those two, DiCello and Dizador, in the one touch, and then they go in the meet. And this has kind of been a little bit of what Florida's done this year, and they don't do the same thing they do in practice or the one touch, and I know it's driving Jenny Rowland, the head coach, crazy. Now a sensational freshman for the Sooners, Ella Murphy. She's sensational on this event. Lily Peterson, a 9.85 in the start. They saw something we didn't. I'm not saying it should have been a 10, guys, but I'm shocked it's not a 9.9.
I agree. I'm shocked by that as well. The judges do have a different angle than we do, so they must have saw something that we didn't.
Ella Murphy has a high on this event of a 9.925.
She has such phenomenal form when she does her gymnastics, just placing her feet in that vertical position. Really nice stretch. You want to see the arms straight when they catch the bar. That means they were the perfect distance away from the bar. She's doing a good job of that. Really being slow to the handstand position to show off, hey, I got it, fully vertical. 2 for 2 on sticks. KJ Kindler, head coach, is going to be happy with that.
This is what Oklahoma does. They are absolutely machine-like. They just go through the routines, stick their landings one after the other.
Well, guys, KJ Kindler has already had a couple conversations with the meet ref, specifically around Lily Peterson's score. Super confused and frustrated that they threw that at 9.85.
I'm also confused just by watching that in real time.
Gabby Dizador does get that 9.8. Here's Skylar Drazer in the 3rd spot.
Another Yurchenko 1.5. The most controlled landing from Florida we've seen so far. Does a good job getting her shoulders around to land in that vertical position when her feet hit the mat.
So it looks like the best vault of the rotation so far for the Gators with that Skylar Drazer effort there.
What I like about this is her elbow position is so extended on the table. We call that a block off the table, allows her to catapult and over-rotate that vault.
Sam mentioned the 9.9 score. You average a 9.9, you go 198 as a team. We'll talk about that as Hannah Shively mounts after a 9.875 for Ella Murphy.
And on bars, I'm going to be watching Hannah's elbow positions. You want to catch all the release moves with elbow straight, just like that. Nobody from Oklahoma has competed in this arena before, so this whole entire team has to really quickly adjust to the equipment and the lighting. You would never know. Excellent.
It'll be interesting to see if they finally break that 9.9. Let's go over to vault. MJ Frazier, she's next up. Big vault for the Gators.
Yeah, you might think that an athlete needs to twist fast off the table, but actually the best vaults wait as long as possible to start generating a twist. You see her bent her arms on the table, which tells me she's twisting early, and the issues come on the landing. That's how the block shows up on the landing. Under-rotated that, didn't quite get enough height from the block to make it all the way around. hoping to improve that here with her Yurchenko double full, hardest vault in the NCAA currently. We're looking for straight arms on the table. Much better. And Allie, you gave me thumbs up right as we both saw it, but that's why we saw her have so much power when she landed, because she got such a strong block. Check out her arms right here on the table.
Much straighter that time than last week.
And actually landed crooked. You see she's over that line, so the judges can take a deduction. They use those lines as a visual guide to see where the gymnast goes. So I'm guessing they're gonna take a 10th or 2 for that.
She followed a 9.85 from Skylar Drazer. Now here's Addison Feda. She's been sensational here in her sophomore year. Took a big jump from that freshman year, gained some confidence, following a 9.9 from Shively.
And Addison caught that release move just a little bit close, but she flies high on this pack salto right here, doing a great job of recovering. Sometimes when you're in the middle of your bar routine and it feels a little bit off, it takes a minute for you to recompose yourself and relax, but excellent.
I mean, nobody sticks landings on bars like the Oklahoma Sooners. 4 for 4 here in this bar rotation.
Look at her arm positions when she catches the bar. They were really bent right there. Judges want to see you being extended, but man, I got to give her props because the rest of this bar routine all the way to the finish was flawless.
And you got to think, the first 3 looked flawless. With that visible air, it's going to be tough to score. Danny Ferris now, the junior for Florida.
She's been so solid in this lineup, and again, puts up a really strong 1.5. Straight arms on the table, good block. She waits to twist. All the makings of a really strong 1.5.
And Sam, what I noticed immediately is right here, she's gonna open her hip position to anticipate the landing right here, and arms fly out to the side for her balance. I'm guessing the judges will take a 0.5 10 for that hop because it looked pretty controlled to me.
She has just strong air awareness, and man, sometimes that can't be taught.
Sensational freshman now. We talked about her in the open. Mackenzie Estep in the 5 spot, following Addison Feda's 9.9.
Well, she's just a freshman, but coaches say she is so methodical, which is why she's able to be so precise in the competition. They said if she doesn't stick a dismount in the warm-up, she will want to keep going to do like 100 until she does feel good about it. That's how accurate she wants to be. And that's why it directly affects her routine positively. She stuck the dismount. Man, they have stuck every single dismount so far. They are machines.
And this right here, this combination, blindfold into full in dismount, most athletes will connect that dismount without the full twisting double back. So that's one of the most difficult combinations being done in the entire competition. Love to see that.
Getting some words from the head coach, KJ Kindler. After another hit routine, here is Selena Harris-Miranda. If you want to count on a stuck landing on vault, if you're going to throw the dice and you want to get a 7, it's this one right here. Sticks it almost every time.
All scores have been 9-9 or better. Ooh. Wow.
Shocking.
Not today.
It looked like Selena came in way too high on the table. Looked like she didn't get her whole palm on the table. Watch her fingertips. You want to see the whole entire hand on the table. Looked like her fingertips were on it. Just wasn't able to get the full rotation as well.
That was a great catch, Allie.
And you know what? I saw her stick one in warm-up as well. So it's just really disappointing that we've seen so many great vaults from this team. We know they can do it. It just needs to show up during the competition.
Faith Torres now follows Mackenzie Estep's 9.925. The score's really ramped up here in the second half.
And right here is one of my favorite skills in the entire competition, this high bar to low bar called a pack salto. Faith just flies on it. We saw just minute leg separation, but she really flies higher than most on that skill.
She had a severe sprain in December on this skill right here, but it doesn't affect her bar. She's back on a couple events. We've seen her on vault, hopefully back in the all-around. We know she is such a strong all-around athlete.
And watch her body position. Catches the bar with elbow straight.
But wait, the headline, she moved her foot. It's the first landing for the Sooners that didn't stick it cold. Small step, probably a half-tenth, but the standards are high in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, when you land, you want to keep your knees bent. That's what's going to help you hang on to that stick. She stood up pretty quickly.
KJ Kindler, the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners in her 20th season. If you want to know who the Sooners are, they are the current dynasty in women's gymnastics, the most dominant team, and it's not even close over the last decade or so. 7 national titles, going for number 8 this year. She says, you know, I don't worry about legacies, I don't think about legacies, but as competitive as she is, you know, she wants that record. The record's 10. We'll see if she can catch it. A little bit to go, but man, they have done an unbelievable job, her and her staff in Norman with this team, just been dominant.
But she did say this year has been the most challenging year with changing the lineups, sickness, injuries, a lot of travel for them. But guys, every single time we watch them compete, you wouldn't know it because it looks like a national championship team.
Faith Torres, the score is in. It's a 9-8-5. Oklahoma, they're going to go to vault. They're the #1 team in the country there in the next rotation. You're not going to want to miss that. They're going to have the lead. The Florida Gators, they'll be chasing. They move to the uneven bars. To Gainesville, Florida, the visiting team, the #1 team in the country with that nice lead after 1 rotation, about half a point for the Sooners. 3 rotations to go as we get ready for that second of 4. Florida bars last week against Missouri did not go well. Nobody saw this coming. They were the #1 team in the country going in, but they put up their lowest bar score since January 8th, 2010, y'all. It was a Missouri meltdown for the Florida Gators. What happened?
Well, Anya Pilgrim, you can see in this first frame, her toes came off the bar late, which means she caught the bar in a pike position. And the reason this shape isn't great is because it completely kills her momentum into the backswing. You can see how much higher she got on the left-hand side of the swing and didn't have enough juice to finish her skills. Riley McCusker finished that up, had a beautiful routine, unfortunately buckled on the landing there at the end, had to take that fall.
And Selena right here, she just waited just a tad too long, and unfortunately Florida had to count 2 scores in the 9-4 range last week.
That was their first rotation, and they just could not overcome it. Missouri got that win. They started slow on vault here. I'm curious as we go down to Taylor Davis, what's the vibe with this Gator team now?
Yeah, John, I'm down here by the bars corral. I would describe it as very locked in. There's not a lot of laughing or dancing going on, but there is a lot of athlete-to-athlete communication happening. MJ Fraser addressed the entire lineup at the chalk bucket saying, hey, eyes forward, we move forward. Skylar Drazer also pulled Kayla DiCello aside and said, hey, let it go. Not the typical vault we see from Kayla, a teammate telling her, you're better than that, put it behind you. This team took a lot of ownership of what happened last week. They're looking to right that ship with this next rotation. We'll see what the Gators can do when we come back.
This is the SEC on ESPN. We are in Gainesville, Florida after 1 rotation. The Oklahoma Sooners, they've got almost a half-point lead, .475 over the home team, the Florida Gators. Not a good start for the Gators. That is their 2nd time this season they've gone under a 49. 49, you got to be in the 49s if you're one of the top teams in the nation, and they were not on vault. Here's a look at the Oklahoma vault team, #1 in the country. They have 7 athletes ranked in the top 25. Newsflash, if you follow women's gymnastics, you can only compete 6. So there's a top 25 athlete on the bench of the Oklahoma Sooner vault team. How about that?
Well, I've been so curious. How do you even choose a vault lineup when you have this many athletes that are so strong? And head coach KJ Kindler said that Lou Ball, associate head coach, just picks them based on who's hot that day. That's the how many athletes they have that are putting up good quality vaults that are sticking the landings.
He's throwing darts. He's just got their faces on a dartboard, and he just picks. It is really an embarrassment of riches, and they have been tremendous this season. Have not scored on one single vault lower than a 9-8. And that is hard to do on this event as we see Elizabeth Blessy, the sophomore, get things going here for the Sooners.
She's doing their only pike half in the lineup. Good positioning on the table. Just the hop back on the landing didn't open up enough to find a more controlled landing.
And why it's so hard to score above a 9-8 on all of your vaults. That hop was probably a 2/10 hop. And it's so easy to take a 2/10 hop in a step or be low on a landing and take a 2/10 step and immediately you're below a 9-8. Oklahoma's done that once all season, which is absolutely astounding. MJ Frazier now. She will lead things off on uneven bars. This is a tremendous event. Going into last week, they're #1 in the nation. #5 now are the Gators, and they have got to get this going now, or it is going to get late early for this Florida team.
And MJ got a 9.9 last week in that leadoff spot, which is national championship style to have your leadoff score a 9.9. What I like about MJ's routine is her hip position throughout. Her hips are open, which gives her a nice rhythm.
There you go.
She's the perfect athlete for that job. She could anchor a lineup for most college teams around, but she's leading them off because of how solid she is and because she can score a 9.9 plus on this event, hoping to set them up in the right direction.
So great hit, great stuck landing to lead things off for the Gators. Elizabeth Blessy for the Sooners, a 9.825 in the leadoff spot there. Kira Wells, the second vaulter to go, junior from Augusta, Kansas.
Really important factor for Kira's vault is keeping her chest up when she runs. You can see her almost do a high knee run to get things going. She doesn't want to run too fast. You want to be controlled. Again, good pop off the table. I like her hips that were flat. Just didn't open up enough.
Huge step on the landing. We'll see how hard the judges hit her on that. That one's going to flirt with that high 9.7 score. It would be the first time for Oklahoma this year. Anya Pilgrim in the second spot for the Gators. Had trouble on this event last week, you guys. Rare for her. She's such a consistent athlete.
Yeah, last week Anya got a 9.45 on this event. She wasn't able to do her Tkachev, which is the skill she's going to do from the low bar to the high bar. She's supposed to connect it immediately. That connection is actually worth 5/10 bonus. She took it out, got a 9.8 start value.
And the key for her here on the first skill is that when she releases the bar, her hips have to be flat. That was kind of in the middle. She's really having to work the backswing to make the Tkachev happen. She got the job done, but it was a fight.
That was the sequence last week that she did not make, and it caused a very low score for her.
And watch her toes and knees glued together. Excellent. Big improvement from last week. That has got to feel so good.
That hip position, she does a good job holding that flat body in order to ride the backswing and have enough momentum there. Locks it in for a stuck dismount. She wanted to redeem herself with that bar routine. And hey, Florida's 2 for 2 now with stuck landings.
Yeah, and coaches said they've never seen her miss that in practice before, but just shows sometimes when you're nervous, adrenaline hits, sometimes things feel weird, and you got to make a last-minute decision to take something out.
The veteran for this Sooner team now, Faith Torres.
She gets off the table so fast, which is a good thing. Beautifully done. She knows how to just lock it in.
Tiny hop on that landing.
And Sam, you talk about the run from Kira. Well, Faith also does the same thing. Look at her body position, exactly what the judges want to see, just so straight. Gives her a perfect position on the table.
Yeah, she gets off the table fast, but starts the twist after she waits, which is a really good thing because it allows you to rise off the table and have enough pop.
And Sam, trying to wait when you're upside down on the table like that is really scary. So you kind of in these moments have to rely on your muscle memory and your training, that your body just knows what to do under those nerves.
Sky Blakely now a formerly 3-time world team member.
And Sky's form on this event is just superb. If she sticks this dismount, the most difficult dismount being done in the entire competition, I might walk over to the judges and tell them to give her a 10.
Wow, these handstands are frozen at 12 o'clock. Oh, man!
995 for the half a 10.
Was perfect. It's like being an inch away from the hole-in-one. Man, it was so good.
That follows a 9-9 from Anya Pilgrim. So the Gators rolling, getting things right here on the second rotation. Next up on vault will be Mackenzie Estep, the star freshman.
Just rocks this 1.5 to a solid landing. She landed and just froze. It is so impressive how strong her air awareness is for just a freshman. She's hoping to repeat that here again today.
Yeah, the Sooners were sticking these vaults cold last week and had 2 meets. They stuck over half their vaults. Looking for the first one here.
She's doing a good job of seeing. Oh,
she wanted it.
She was so close, seeing the ground before she finishes that last half twist.
It almost looked like she had it. That foot almost, I mean, you know she needed to take the step, but it almost looked like it could have just held on a little longer.
I think she came on a little bit too high on the table. It looked like she was anticipating the stick before she went into the round off. The irony is if you start thinking about the stick before you do the entry on the table, sometimes you forget those little minute details to set you up into that perfect position.
Faith Torres with that 9.925. Mackenzie Estep 9.825. Still waiting for that Sky Blakely score. It's a 9.925, and here's Kayla DiCello.
Kayla's really grown in her confidence since coming back from her injury that held her out of competition for college competition for 2.5 years. And she is so aggressive when she swings here. Clocking that handstand position. She's got the first one, huge release bar, a little close to the bar, but is able to generate enough swing to have no issues to the low bar. Man, this is looking hot up there. Just needs a stuck landing.
And what I admire and respect about this Florida bar team is that they are still keeping in their elite big-time skills, and the originality in these routines is just so jaw-dropping.
She just knows exactly how to swing on this bar, how to lock in those handstands, and then, of course, when you finish the routine with a solid stuck landing, Owen Field right there says that he reminds them to press in, push the mat down. That's what helps them stick.
Elle Miller, part of that stick brigade last weekend, looking for a stuck landing here.
Came on really interesting, but as the coaches say, this athlete is such a cat. She did a lot of trampoline work in her club gymnastics stage, which really helps you build that air awareness over time.
I tell you what, this is a decent vault rotation. Good. But I tell you what, for the Sooners, they are not happy with this vault rotation.
Yeah.
5 vaulters, 5 landings that had steps, had deductions, 1 vault score of a 9.9 or better. This is the #1 team in the country on this event. And you know, there's the main vault coach, associate head coach Lou Ball, KJ Kindler's husband. You know the standards are so high. 2 or 3 stuck vaults are the minimum. Tomorrow night, the Women's College Game Day crew will be at Maravich Center in Baton Rouge to get you set for the biggest game of the night as #3 South Carolina takes on #6 LSU. The action gets underway at 8 Eastern on ABC and the ESPN app. Selena Harris Miranda in the 5 spot. Look at the scores build, 9.95 for DiCello.
Well, Selena had an issue on that skill last week, not today, but coaches were really impressed on how she bounced back from the mistake last week. They said she was a goldfish, and she finished with a lot of grit, and that's what they need to see from her right now. This couldn't be more perfect. Oh, that left foot slide. That is the smallest mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. It's minor, but when you're competing against Oklahoma, those minor mistakes are expensive.
And watch her elbow position as she catches the bars. Looks pretty straight to me. And then her body position right here. Head coach Jenny Rowland told me this is really the only spot in her routine where they think the judges could take off. You see her move her body a little bit. They've improved it a lot. But sometimes the judges take off because of her pike and arch position.
Oklahoma came into this rotation with a .475 lead. Florida is eating away at that. Elle Miller, a 9.825. Here's Addison Feda.
2 meets in a row. She got a 9.975. She does it again.
And Sam, I saw the way Addison was running, very similar to Kira. I can tell by the way that they run with their chest up and their knees horizontal that they're going to control this landing so well. Elbow position, again, watch her arms. They fly out to the side.
Coaches say how important it is for her to be patient off the table. And man, that was textbook technique. Finds the landing. You can see her eyes just spotting the floor, glued in.
And Addison's first 10 of her entire collegiate career, well-deserved.
I'm not saying she shouldn't have got a 10, but I'm surprised she got a 10. Didn't feel like the moment the judges were going to do it, but they did. Here's Riley McCusker in the anchor spot for Florida.
And watch Riley's toes. They are glued together the entire time. To be able to point your toes like that while you're flipping and twisting in the air, just incredible.
Big moment for her right here to hit that. Sometimes she's had trouble hitting a bar routine after mistakes earlier in the lineup, but not today. So I think you can see how excited everybody is. Not only is this a hit routine that's going to score high for Florida, but this is going to do wonders for her confidence.
There was no missed routines leading up to that, and that puts you in a spot where you got nothing to lose. The low score is a 9.875 for Florida. So, you know, it kind of takes the pressure off Riley McCusker, and she absolutely delivered. I'm telling you what, if they threw a 10 for Feda on vault, you're going to be hard-pressed not to throw a 10 for McCusker on bars.
Well, they need it. If they're going to stay in this competition, they got some grounds to make up here on these next couple of events, even with a perfect 10.
And even before that McCusker score comes in, you can see the Florida deficit is down to 3.5 tenths. It most certainly will go down from there. McCusker, such a tremendous bar worker, former elite athlete as well, world team member, was in the Olympic trials in 2021 and almost made that Olympic team that went to Tokyo because of that uneven bars. While we're waiting for that score, let's go on to Taylor. She's with Faith Torres.
Thank you very much, John. Faith, the technical execution of Oklahoma on vault. You put up a 9.925. What are the points of emphasis you have on your vault?
Just remembering the little things. You know, we stick 100 vaults in practice, so be able to come in here and do that in an amazing environment, it really pays off.
Light work for the Sooners, 100 sticks. You just close out that rotation. Addison Feda puts up a 10. How can you guys carry that momentum into Florida?
Just keep doing what we're doing. You know, we're used to the environment. We're going to feed off of it, so we're just really excited for that.
Excited to see it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
John.
Thanks, Taylor. Riley McCusker puts up a 9.975. That means one of the judges gave her a 10, but for Addison Feda, it's both of the judges. She gets a perfect 10. The Gators trim the lead, though, down to 2.5 tenths on a season-high bar rotation, but the star of the rotation was that young athlete, Addison Feda. Welcome back to Florida, Gainesville, Florida, where the Gators were surging on that last rotation. They trimmed that Oklahoma Sooner lead down to 2.5 tenths. And it was on the event, you guys, that they struggled tremendously last week. They went into Missouri as the #1 team in the country. They came out as the #5 team in the country on that because of the difficulties they had, but not tonight. They get some redemption.
It's been such a fun meet to watch them come back on bars. I know they wanted to hit strong. No one questioned whether or not they had the ability to, but could they do it under pressure? And they can.
Season high score for the Florida Gators, and 3 of the athletes that made mistakes, not so much today against the Oklahoma Sooners.
Well, Anya really had a much better release move going into her Tkachev release move. She got a 9.9, which is a big improvement. Riley McCusker scored a nearly perfect 99.75, making up for her mistake last week, and you can see it written all over her face.
So the next athlete that really shined in that rotation was Addison Feda-Ali with that 10 on vault.
That was so exciting, and I'm sure a moment that Addison will never forget. Addison's first ever perfect 10, well-deserved 3 stuck vaults in a row, and Oklahoma's the only team now to have freshmen that have gotten a 10, Addison being the second freshman in all of NCAA this season to get a perfect 10.
And that is a rotation that Oklahoma was not really up to their standards. No stuck vaults up till that point, but they got it done. We talked about how consistent Oklahoma's been on the vault. 42 routines this season, have not scored below a 9.8 one single time, and they keep that streak going here against the Gators. When we come back, Oklahoma, they go to the floor exercise. The Gators go to beam. She is just a machine.
So excited to watch.
The energy in the arena is electric. Next week is going to be another championship level showdown. The number 2 team in the country, the LSU Tigers, they go to Oklahoma to face number 1. It's going to be fantastic. 9 Eastern right here on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. After rotation 1, that Oklahoma lead, man, it was big, .475, and it looked like it was going to be all Sooners, but the Gators said, not so fast, my friend. They trim it down to .25 after the second rotation, and now the meet really gets started because we go to the balance beam. The great equalizer in women's gymnastics. Florida on the beam, ranked number 2 in the country. Meanwhile, Oklahoma on floor exercise, they are number 3 there. Both these teams highly ranked on every event. It really just comes down to who is going to execute.
Florida's not out of this competition. They can certainly
Absolutely
make up
not.
a couple 10s here and on floor. So I'm guessing that's what the team meeting was before they mounted the beam here, because it is certainly possible.
The sport is so mental. You mentioned it early in the show, Sam. 90% mental, the other half is physical, I'm told. And that mental approach right here on beam is big.
And this spot is really important for all teams to have that strong leadoff athlete, but head coach Jenny Rowland said they're trying to find a lineup they know that can score the best. And Skylar Dracer has put up her career best this year with a 9.9, and if she can repeat that here today, they're going to be right on track. You also want someone in these lineups that's hungry and eager to compete. She kept going to Jenny's office saying, what do I need to do to get in the beam lineup? Here she is.
Yeah, Sam, I think the athlete that starts off first on beam, they have to want to start first on beam. You have to have the courage to be willing to have that amount of pressure on you to start this team off strong.
A stuck landing is around a 9.9. Curious to see what the judges do, but that is in the 9.9 range, in my opinion, starting off Florida on the right foot here.
Skylar Dracer, tremendous start. That first spot, so important on this event.
And watch her shoulder blades. They're squeezed together, does a good job of keeping her chest backwards, chin up, but eyes down on the beam. No movement there.
Lily Peterson will start things off for Oklahoma on floor. She started tremendously for them on the uneven bars. Sam, you keep mentioning the 9.9. The 9.9s are kind of the benchmark for the top teams in the country. If you average a 9.9, you will score a 198. In my opinion, you can't win a national championship in this sport if you don't get to 198. So keep in mind, 9.9s are really what these teams are striving for.
And the athlete that goes first up on floor has to have more endurance than the rest of the team because they've just quickly warmed up. Lily hasn't had as much time to rest. Plus, she's recovering from an illness. So this is just extra impressive.
What most people don't realize is that a floor routine is like a 90-second sprint with tumbling in between, but they make it look so easy. Well, we saw Florida start off strong on beam, and Oklahoma is responding with another strong performance for an handspring double full, clean landing. And again, you can see in all of her twisting elements, her legs are glued together there, just places her body down for a clean landing.
And Sam, I noticed the same thing. Watch her feet together in between each jump. So difficult to squeeze your legs together. I didn't see any deductions in that routine. Well done.
Alyssa Arana now, the junior for the Florida Gators. She follows a 9.875 from Skylar Drazer.
She's been really solid in this position so far this year, and she does a nice job visibly breathing throughout this beam routine. I think beam is the easiest event, hear me out, because unlike vault and bars, you have a minute to regroup. If you do have a wobble, you have a moment to take a deep breath and to keep going. Where on vault and bars, it just keeps going and you don't have time to collect yourself.
Allie, I'm worried about Sam. Can you check on her? She just said beam is the easiest.
We both just looked at Sam. I think beam is scary because there's just really no room for error. But what impresses me about Alyssa is the calmness that she has, and I think the best beamers pretend that they are on a line on the floor, and Alyssa looked like she was just doing a routine on the floor. Watch this, watch the height of her back handspring. I like to see that the lightness of the back handspring is what allows her to do the back layout step out with such ease.
Well, since that first rotation on vault where the Gators did not perform how they wanted to, they have come on strong. And I know Jenny Rowland, the head coach, has got to be pleased with that. Not pleased with the struggles on vault, but pleased with the reaction. Ella Murphy will now follow Lily Peterson's 9.875. So 9.875 for both teams with their first athlete. That is a tremendous first score.
It is tremendous, John, but Florida needs to be getting stronger scores if they're going to gain on Oklahoma.
I heard Lou Ball say to Ella in warm-up, that step is free, take it, encouraging her not to try to stick those landings and to take that lunge.
A lot of times athletes pick music and routines that reflects their personality, and I thought it was really interesting that head coach and choreographer KJ Kindler said even though she's full of personality, she has a really serious routine and she sells it well.
Currently ranked 20th in the nation on that event. Let's go over to beam. Taylor's got more on Sky Blaker.
Yeah, John, she is competing with a brand new beam shoe here tonight. You'll see it on her left foot. Last week, she was actually competing with one that was so old, it had holes in the bottom of it. She did have some trouble on her wolf turns last week on beam, and I talked to her about it, and she said she's been wearing one for about 12 years. As long as she's competed wolf turns, she said she's so used to it, she doesn't notice the difference. She actually takes a lot of comfort in it. But last week, she debated, is it better to compete with a worn one with holes or a brand new slick one? She opted for the old one, but this week has been breaking in this new one. But Sam, I know this is such a nuanced decision, athlete to athlete.
Yeah, I could not imagine doing beam with a shoe on because a lot of the times on beam, I like to grip the beam with my toes. No problems today. Kind of had some crazy arms there, but was able to lock it in and have no movement at the end.
And Sam, speaking of gripping, what's impressive to me too is that both of her ankles are taped. And right there will be interesting to see if the judges give her a connection because she did move her feet a little bit. If she doesn't get that connection, she won't have a 10-0 start value. Judges want to see you connect immediately, just like she did with those two. No feet movement, no shoulder dip.
Coaches have really been talking about how impressed they are with her mental game this year and how much she's worked on that. Head coach Jenny Rowland said, it's rare for an athlete to say this, but instead of beating herself up from the mistake last week, she really said she was proud of how she finished her routine, just like she's doing here today. It all is building that mental fortitude for her.
Florida led off with a 9.875. Arana got a 9.9. It feels like Sky Blakely might just go a little higher than that.
And Sam, I saw the same thing. Look at her arms are a little bit all over the place, but very impressive.
This is where we're trying to see if she connects. I think she totally had continuous movement with her arms. It wasn't quite as fast as she normally makes it, but there was no movement in the feet, so it should be good to go.
Mackenzie Estep next to go for the Sooners. If you're looking at the score tower on your right, 1/4 of a tenth advantage through 2 athletes from each team so far here in this rotation.
And Mackenzie struggled on this tumbling pass last week, took 2 big steps backwards.
When she does it well, it's exceptional, just like that. Oklahoma does a really good job choreographing movement out of their tumbling passes to try and minimize as many deductions as possible.
The SEC Freshman of the Week, Mackenzie Estep. What a valuable newcomer to the Sooner squad.
And this is where Mackenzie struggled last week, got a 9.65, so she's gonna be really happy with that, Sam, dancing out of it like you just mentioned. I completely agree. Oklahoma does this so well, allows her to actually over-rotate it slightly, but trying to give the illusion to the judge that she controlled it perfectly. She'll be very happy with that.
Senior MJ Frazier, number 20 in the country on balance beam, follows Sky Blakely's 9.9.
I think MJ is an underrated beam worker. I say this every time I get to watch her do this beam routine because she is powerful, she's flexible, and she moves so well with the beam. You're gonna notice on every single skill, she really melts into the landing and absorbs the beam well. Good connection to get things going. She just looks stable, is the word that I'm looking for. You're never worried about if she's gonna stand up and have too straight of legs on her landing. Split jump to ring jump.
That skill is so impressive because MJ completely loses sight of the beam, taking a much bigger risk.
MJ Frazier, one of 4 gymnasts competing tonight that are competing for that individual all-around title, meaning they're competing on all 4 events. That competition tight as well.
Watch how she completely loses sight of the beam here. And then when she comes back down, her eyes are looking at this end of the beam as quickly as possible to gain her balance on top of the beam.
And then this is a unique dismount. Most athletes do a round off, and MJ does a cartwheel into a 1.5, which is harder in my opinion because she's not getting the same punch. She's essentially taking off from one leg.
Elle Miller now for Oklahoma in the 4 spot. 9-9 for E-step, matching Sky Blakely's 9-9. So still a 1/4 of a tenth advantage in this rotation for the Gators. Remember, they were 2.5 tenths down coming into this one.
Elle's been so solid on this event. Just last week, she got a 9.925, 9.95. Her scores are building this season.
Currently tied for the 20th ranking in the nation on this event.
I've been fortunate enough to watch Oklahoma's practice, and they spend so many moments thinking about where to look in their dance, where their fingers are placed, their facial expressions in each movement. And that's what you're noticing is every little beat is accounted for.
Well, to your point, Sam, they are so well trained and they are masters of their gymnastics that KJ has them working, and she says is working on all those tiny little details that some teams don't quite get to, but the Oklahoma Sooners do.
And does a really good job of not going out of bounds, just right on that line right there. Excellent body awareness to not step out. Won't receive a deduction for that. But what I loved about that tumbling pass was the second flip was much higher than the first one, which is what the judges want to see.
MJ Frazier with a 9.85. Here's Selena Harris-Miranda. And a 9.85 in this meet. It feels like if you're a Gator, you can't afford scores in the 9.8. It's going to have to be 9.9 plus the rest of the way.
And Selena's ranked 5th in the country on beam. Because of this series right here, she's going to do 3 skills in a row. Wow. I feel like she went higher on that layout step out than she normally does.
But this is really her best event because she's able to adjust so well. She's a quick twitched athlete. Already scored a 9.975 this year on beam. Coaches say that she's really bringing more than gymnastics to the team this year. She's been more vocal, and they really feel like she's instilling a bigger sense of grit to this team because coaches say that they have a really sweet team. So it's fun to see that grittiness Selena brings to the team, and that's really the word of their week, hoping that grittiness carries through to the rest of the meet.
And this was exciting to watch. The height of the layout step out, the way she arches her back with her hips open, superb.
Locks it in. She's so good at sticking. If you looked close on that round off, her heels were off the beam, but you wouldn't notice by the way she landed. Crowd wants a 10, John.
They want a 10. They might get a 10. Florida needs a 10. Because after that 4th gymnast for both teams, Elle Miller and MJ Frazier, it flipped and it was advantage Oklahoma. A slight advantage here in this rotation, but that big one, 9.95 for Selena Harris-Miranda. The crowd not liking it. Taylor.
They're not liking it, but we did see a 10 earlier on vault from Addison Feda, but down here with Oklahoma, guys, you would have no idea. She just scored her first career perfect 10. She has been as composed and locked in as if anything normal had happened. And what's interesting about Addison, she told me she went into her freshman year completely open-minded. She said, I had so much to learn, so much to get better at. I wanted to approach my sophomore campaign the same way. So very clear, the success not getting to her.
Yeah, she's really transformed, I feel like, from her freshman to her sophomore season. She was good in her freshman year, but even better here as a sophomore.
And Addison's struggled a bit on that first tumbling pass. We saw her take a big step to the side. There's a lot of twisting elements in that first tumbling pass, so hard to stay perfectly straight.
That's going to be a big deduction, that step to the side. Just because of that, I expect this to be the low score so far in this rotation.
Looked like she took off with bent legs. Coming out of that front handspring, she wanted to be completely upright with knees really straight.
You know, Oklahoma doesn't do a lot of the big E double flipping skills, and they do a lot of these forward landing skills, Allie, and I think these are risky landings.
Well, this tumbling pass is an upgrade from last year, and it's actually really hard. It's very hard to control that front full.
The key for Addison is patience. We said it on vault, and she rushed the timing of these twists. You see it show up in the landing on both of those first and last pass, but you can see her kind of breathing heavy here. We have to remember, this is their third meet in only, what is it, John, 8 days? That's incredible. That's so many hard landings.
Yeah, and the first thing to go once you get tired is your legs, and whether it's tumbling or landing. And who knows, maybe we're seeing a little bit of that from Oklahoma as Kayla DiCello in her first all-around competition of the season. She takes to the beam following that Paris Miranda 995.
Oh, man.
What a save!
I was just gonna say, since changing her routine construction, she's been really solid. That was a bit of a change. She upgraded to the double wolf turn in order for her to do a easier series coming up. The #1 rule on beam is no hesitation. I feel like more than other events, it's a direct reflection on what you're saying to yourself in your head. And if you let one creep of doubt into your mind, then it's really gonna show up in terms of a wobble or even a fall. Doing a good job pulling this back on and taking a big deep breath as she continues, because you never know if this routine is going to count for the overall team score.
Tremendous beam rotation for the Florida Gators. Their low score going into that Kayla DiCello routine, a 9.85.
And watch Kayla's shoulder position right here, just dips. Wanted to keep her arms really tight out to the side. The beam is so unforgiving if you just dip your shoulder slightly. Good save though.
You know what she didn't do though, is she didn't grab the beam with her hand, and you saw her flirt with it. That makes the deduction much, much bigger, and she didn't do it.
She had to squeeze every muscle in her body, especially her core, to hang on to that. That takes incredible strength.
She was a Jedi on that one. She used the Force, I'm convinced of it. Kamila Pavlak now in the anchor spot, another freshman. The Oklahoma Sooners getting 30% of their routines this season from freshmen. Always have relied on those freshmen to be participating in the lineups. KJ Kindler talks about how important that is to the success of the Sooners. 2026, no different.
Beautiful toe point in that first opening tumbling pass.
Anchored last week for the first time, and it went well. She got a 9.95. I know that was a focus on our coaches call with KJ Kindler, trying to lock in these lineups. As you get a little closer to that postseason, you want the most optimal scoring lineup possible.
I think Kamila is a beautiful example of Oklahoma's artistry and what sets them apart. Her entire routine is on releve, and even when she runs into her tumbling passes, she's pointing her toes.
Davila Pavlak finishes the floor rotation for the Sooners, trying to erase that 9.775 from Addison Fada in the 5th spot.
On this last pass, she was a little unsure of the landing. Looks like her legs got a little tired. Watch when she lands, they just stay in this bent knee position a little too long when you're supposed to stand right up, and she kind of skidded her front foot. Good save for her on the end there, minimizing what could be a bigger deduction.
The lights coming down. There's not a power outage. They do this after the 3rd rotation here in Gainesville. We're looking at those scores, trying to drop that 9.775. Again, going back to what's a good score, what's not. 9.8s at this level, when you're trying to be the best team in the country, 9.8s, they'll keep you in it. But 9.9s, those are the scores that help you win it. And again, that 9.9 average, getting to a 198. I feel like before this competition, I felt like it was a race to 198 for these two teams. Whichever team crossed that line first and got into the 198 was going to be the team that was going to win it. And early on, it's looked like it's all Oklahoma Sooners. The Florida Gators not going away, but the Sooners are still going to have a lead.
Well, after the meet last week, Florida's head coach Jenny Rowland said that we're missing a little of the grittiness and coming back after a mistake, and that's the opposite of what they're doing tonight. They are fighting all the way through. I know head coach Jenny Rowland's proud of that.
Well, the Gators will not back down. When we come back, we're going to look at the promise they made this season to not give up, right?
I'm sorry. Extremely sorry. You know, we were hoping for an undefeated season. That was my goal. Something Florida's never done here. But I promise you one thing. A lot of good will come out of this. You have never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season, and you never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season. And you never see a team play harder than we will the rest of this season. God bless.
We're back inside the O-Dome. Oklahoma with a .25 lead after 3 rotations. The Tim Tebow post-game press conference, one of the most famous in college football history following the team's 2008 loss to Ole Miss. But this gymnastics team is directly motivated by that promise. Skylar Drazer presented the promise to the team at the retreat in the preseason, and the team opted to create their own version of the promise. The promise can be seen on a sign in the practice facility, and it's something that this team taps into through the highs and lows of gymnastics season. Skylar Drazer joins me now here in the O-Dome as we prepare for rotation 4. Skylar, what were the main message points that you were hoping this team would take away from that Tebow speech?
Yeah, I think just coming off last season, we didn't end the way we wanted, so I really sat down and it came to my mind, and I just wanted this team to take away that this season, from the minute we left that Fort Worth, that we were going to work so hard, we were going to be each other's biggest supporters, and we weren't going to back down, and we were going to be the team that wanted to be to beat this year.
You've got one more rotation in a top 5 matchup. How can this team tap into that promise in this last rotation?
I think just giving it all we got. You know, one of the big things in there is show up and show out, and we have some really great big tumbling passes. This crowd is amazing tonight, so I think just bringing the energy and supporting one another, and it's going to be a great night.
Well, hey, that football team went on to win a national championship, so not a bad piece of motivation. You heard her. One more rotation, high-flying action to close this one when we come back.
You're watching the SEC on ESPN. We are in the O-Dome. A lot of Gator chomps all around the arena trying to will their team to a victory. They got some work to do. The Oklahoma Sooners with a .25 lead. They're the #1 team in the country. This would be first win at Florida, though, for the Sooners in program history. And this would be the first win for the Florida Gators versus a #1 team since 2018. But if they're going to do it, they'll do it at home. Since 2020, 49-1 at home. That loss to the Alabama Crimson Tide in 2024. They're rounding the 3rd turn, and they're heading for home here in Gainesville. 2 of the best in the country. #5 Florida, #1 Oklahoma. It's going to come down to this. Sooners on balance beam, #1 in the nation on that event. The Florida Gators, they go to floor exercise where they're #5 in the nation, but I tell you what, we have not seen the best Florida Gator team on floor yet this season. They can absolutely fly, and if they do, they're going to put some pressure on this team, the Sooners on beam, and just maybe get the opening they need to close that 2.5-10 lead. You can see the rankings there, left side. Addison Theta got some words from KJ Kindler, a familiar scene for the Sooners on balance beam. KJ Kindler always right there with some last few words before the athletes mount. Sophomore Addison Theta leads things off.
And I'm a fan of Addison in this leadoff spot. Watch her eyes. They do not come off the beam one time. She is so commanding on this event.
I mentioned the all-around Addison Theta in the all-around competition. The 9.875 for her here will win it.
And head coach Kindler said that intensity she brings on this event puts her in a different sphere upstairs.
She's just locked in. You see it in her eyes, and I think you also saw it in KJ Kindler's eyes when she was talking to her so intensely before. I asked her, what do you say? And she said, I remind Addison sharp dance. And that's all I can see when I watch her do this routine is sharp, aggressive, intense. And I'm willing to bet those 3 words are probably part of her mental choreography from start to finish.
And Kindler mentioned that she really emphasizes the dance because she's hoping if Addison is focusing on the dance, she has less time to overthink the big, hard acro skills.
Man, this is looking so good. If she sticks this, it should be a 9-9 or better.
Fantastic start for the number 13 ranked gymnast in the nation on this event, Addison Theta. What a start for the Sooners. Sunday afternoon, catch a women's basketball doubleheader over on ABC. 1 Eastern is the Battle of the Blues as number 11 Duke hosts number 21 North Carolina, followed by number 4 Texas squaring off with number 22 Tennessee. As always, both games are also available on the ESPN app. So now a freshman for the Florida Gators, Amelia Dizador, sister of Gabby Dizador, the 5th sister duo in Florida Gator history. She will lead things off here again. We talked about scores they need. 9 9s are an absolute minimum for this Gator team here in this last rotation. If they count anything below that, you gotta think that is not gonna bode well for their chances to get this win.
This first tumbling pass is so difficult. Gonna do a double layout.
The key for Florida is their landing. Can she hold her front foot down? Good save there. No landing issues on that pass. It's a really good start for Florida. OU's leading with that 9-9, so they have got to be at their best here today. She worked so hard on this first pass. Look at her heel coming up. You don't want that front foot to slide, and her heel came up, but she pushes it back down like a pro, so it's no deductions on that landing.
Trying to match that Addison Theta 9.9. If you're at home, keep track of the scoring tower. Compare athlete to athlete as the scores come up, and keep in mind, .25 was the lead for the Sooners coming into this 4th and final rotation. If you're the Gators, you want to just whittle away at that lead. Don't let that 2.5-10th lead migrate to the 5th or 6th athlete. You want to try to get it down under 2 tenths and then hopefully under 1. Kira Wells now the 2nd spot for the Sooners.
And Kira started off in the beginning of the season in that leadoff spot. Coaches switched her to the 2nd And I think they were a bit surprised how much her confidence got better when they took off the pressure of being in that leadoff spot.
Well, there's a little bit of pressure here right now because the crowd was just booing what I imagined to be the floor score that just came in. So not only do you have to flip on a 4-inch beam, but you gotta handle the crowd noise or any outside distraction, but it doesn't look like it's affecting her at all here.
Yeah, 9.875 for Dizador. So slight advantage Oklahoma, Fada with that 9.9.
Locked in when she lands on that series.
And one of the hardest things about competing is you can prepare for a lot of things, but what you cannot control is whether it's going to be silent or very loud when you're competing.
That's why your mental choreography has to be so strong to handle moments like this. And Kira is the most consistent athlete they have day in, day out. Look at this hitch kick side aerial, just holds that finish so strong. Her core was squeezed.
And during that side aerial skill, that was when the crowd was booing. So that happened right as she was upside down. So somehow she was able to block out everything you would have never known.
So now the pressure back over to the Florida Gators. 2 big hits for Oklahoma. Danny Ferris now in this 2 spot. Taylor?
Well, John, Danny Ferris's floor routine honors her Moroccan heritage. Her mom, Julia, who is in attendance here tonight, moved to the States from Morocco in the early 2000s. Danny was born a few years later, and she told me her mom is her biggest inspiration. The two are the only members of the family that live here in the States as she begins her first pass, double layout. Looks like that heel was still in bounds. I'm down here by the floor, but she did tell me her mom is her biggest inspiration. She said, my mom doesn't think enough of her own accomplishments, but it's because of the life she created for herself here that I'm able to achieve my dreams. The two are incredibly close. Mom lives nearby here in Florida, and like I said, is in attendance cheering on her daughter.
Well, yeah, Taylor, I've noticed a different intensity about Danny this year, and when I asked the coaches about it, they said, you know, she started training harder skills because she wants to compete in the Olympics, and so that means she's got to add some difficulty to routines if she wants to compete in the elite world, and it's helping her in college.
And the first tumbling pass that Danny did is the type of skill that we do see at the Olympic Games.
That was a solid routine. There's Mom. She's loving it, but she's going to have to keep up with a 9.95 from Kira Wells. That's going to be tough.
This is the first pass where we were wondering if she went out of bounds. Let's take a closer look right there. She saved herself, but it was close.
She's in. Taylor said she was in. Were you doubting her? Like, I mean, I trust Taylor.
I tried to do it all. Thank you, John.
So 2 down for each team here in this final rotation. Now Ella Murphy, I'll tell you what, if Oklahoma continues to hit the way they are, even if they start taking steps on their landing but hit their routine as consistently as they have through 2, they're going to win this meet. The Gators need a little help. They need a wobble. They need some steps on the landing, and they need to be perfect.
And this athlete right here, even though she's just a freshman, John, she has so much elevated gymnastics.
Yeah, freshman Ella Murphy.
Right here, she pushes so strong through the beam, making sure her toes get pointed right off the beam. Not every athlete does that. She has such a clean look on the uneven bars, really brings that aesthetic to beam as well. Even her dance, her arms, her shoulders, her face, it's in such a precise location. You can tell these athletes, not just Ella, but all of them do hundreds of beam routines. That's how they're able to lose sight of the beam like she did in that ring jump and quickly pull it back on without wobbling. and they are just cooking on beam. Oklahoma wants a perfect 10. Starting with a 9-9 and 9-9-5. Man, those scores are building. It's looking good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Trending in the right direction, not giving an inch to the Gators.
Look at her toes right here. It's a little hard to tell, but they are so pointed. It helps give her lift off the beam and make sure her knees are super straight.
And then watch this, her eyes and head completely lose sight of the beam well over that 180 degrees. I asked head coach why they decided to take that risk. She said she prefers to land on 2 feet and does that jump better than any other one.
MJ Frazier now on floor following that Ferris 9-9.
And this is the same double layout that we've seen. This is the third routine in a row. But that is one of the most difficult tumbling passes that you can do. The amount of height you have to get to keep your body in that layout position takes so much conditioning and strength.
When you're tired, this is when your legs and technique matter. Going into these passes, squeezing your core throughout. Oh, really uncharacteristic.
Unfortunate mistake. Right
Watch
here.
her chest position. Looked like she just opened her legs way too early and her chest was already down. She was bouncing backwards and unfortunately just rebounded and went way too far forward.
Yeah, in a moment that they needed to be perfect. Any errors are so costly for the Gators. Ella Murphy, 9.975. One judge gave her a 10. Just putting on a clinic over on beam. Here's Lily Peterson now.
This could not be going better for Oklahoma on beam. They're gonna wanna put this one in the bank.
Oklahoma showing why they're ranked #1 on the country on this event. And Lily is so confident on this event. Look at her eyes. Doesn't take her eyes off the beam, but also her arm positions are so tight. Helps prevent her from having any wobbles.
Allie, you said it. She is nailing the 3 rules of beam. Look at the end of the beam. Find your arms and go to home base. That's a really strong finish position, and that's what we've seen consistently with this OU team on beam so far, is how strong they finish every single skill.
Unbelievable. Just one after the other. Total perfection for KJ Kindler and the Sooners. Auburn and LSU coming up as well. Caitlin Chio, 3rd in the all-around in the NCAA. The LSU Tigers, #2 team in the country. The Auburn Tigers. It's Tigers versus Tigers in Baton Rouge. It will be a good one there. Tonight, after the LSU-Auburn meet, catch the premiere of our next SEC story, The Fighting Tiger. It chronicles the 43-year career and legacy of LSU gymnastics head coach Dee Dee Bro, a relentless trailblazer whose career mirrors the evolution of women's collegiate gymnastics. 10:30 Eastern over on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. And she might have been a bigger personality than she was a coach. She is something. That'll be a fun one for you. Here's Sky Blakely now in the 4th spot, a 9.725. Unfortunate for MJ Frazier.
And this first tumbling pass is so difficult. Last week, Sky took out that stag jump, which normally isn't an issue, but in floor, you need a requirement of 8 skills. So because she took out that stag jump, she only had 7, which gave her a 9.9 start value instead of 10. So she went back in the gym and has a backup plan in case she can't do that stag jump. She's gonna add in a straddle jump somewhere else. But excellent correction this week.
This routine is so elegant. She actually participated in ballet and tap before trying gymnastics, and that's what you can see. Her dance is just as good as her tumbling here.
This first pass is so difficult. It's the type of tumbling pass that we see in an Olympic floor final. Front handspring double front opens up at the perfect time to connect that stag jump into it.
And look at her knees when she landed. She kept that one bent for a little bit longer. And guys, in elite gymnastics, they have to land with their feet together. And it looks like she's still trying to relearn that you're able to take a step forward without having a deduction. And it's really hard when you build those habits.
Keep an eye on Sky Blakely. She will be making a run at that 2028 Olympic team as well. Now over to balance beam. The Sooners rolling. Elle Miller in the 5th spot. But like I say, if there's one word to describe the sport of gymnastics, it's anything can happen, but it's going to have to happen quick.
I mean,
the Sooners just need to hit one more.
Isn't it funny that it's now a letdown if they only score a 9-9? That's how good these athletes are in this lineup right now.
Actually, really impressive. It looked like Ella was a little bit off on that back handspring. Looked like she bent her elbows a little bit more than usual, but you would never know if the judges were watching her chest position. They may not have seen it. Slight wobble on that side aerial. Wanted to land completely forward. Just a very minor deduction.
A 9.775 or better for Elle Miller here. Oklahoma gets the win.
She looks a little off balance from what I've seen from her throughout this season, pulling it back on, and man, off balance, but gets the job done with the landing, man. Here's where she was a little crooked in her series. If you bend your arms, then it's not great because sometimes you can push yourself off the beam. On the other side, it actually looked like her right hand or right palm was a little off-centered from the beam. It's tough to pull it back on, but she handled that adjustment well.
Well, she's got some room for error because it's all 9.9s or better for Oklahoma on beam, and it's hard to imagine that that score will not be better than a 9.775 for Oklahoma to get the win. Nonetheless, we've got some more gymnastics. Selena Harris-Miranda, and she's following a 9.95 from Sky Blakely.
Well, she's one pass down, and if she scores a 10, she'll get her first gym slam. That means a perfect 10 on all 4 events. Got all the way around on our leaps, feet landing together. This is critical. Wow. Will Sky Blakely have the assist with a 9.95? We'll see what the judges do here.
Scores 10 to build. The crowd wanted it for Sky Blakely. Will they get it for Selena Harris-Miranda? Meanwhile, over on beam, you see it in the score tower. Elle Miller, a 9.925. We thought maybe a little higher than we expected, but it's all academic because it was going to be enough to get the team win as Faith Torres gets ready to go. Let's go down to Taylor.
Some icing on the cake here for Faith Torres. Like you said, the Sooners clinch this meet, but I've been watching down here just how the machine that is Oklahoma operates, specifically on beam in a rowdy environment. Like we mentioned, none of these athletes on this current roster had competed in the O-Dome before, but they have been lights out. KJ Kindler spends the entire opponent's floor routine with the respective athletes. Some do stretches, some do handstands. They go through the entirety of the routine. You'll also see KJ Kindler stands at the end of the beam. That's intentional so she can notice alignment and foot position. Assistant coach Ashley Kerr stands on the side of the beam to be able to watch bent knees and connections. They are so intentional and meticulous about every detail, and it prepares them for environments like this.
Yeah, you talk about environments, and the crowd's going crazy right now, but because this is such a mental event, Taylor, you're spot on. I'm willing to bet, and I'm going to go on the record to say that whatever you say to yourself before you mount the beam is almost more important than your entire beam routine. It sets the tone, and these Oklahoma athletes have that mental routine dialed in.
And why not finish it with another stuck landing and another virtually perfect routine for the Sooners. What an absolute clinic they just put on the balance beam in a moment where they had to be on. They had a slight margin, but you know the Florida Gators were going to come for you on a great event for them in their home arena. And man, the Sooners put on the blinders, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park. Selena Harris Miranda, Sam, you mentioned the crowd in the background. They were booing that 9.975. They wanted a 10. And now Kayla DiCello will finish off her first all-around of the season here on Floor Exercise.
This is a big moment for her. She's been ready for this moment. She's been excited for this moment. And she's got some big skills to come. Starting off with a tuck full in, 2 flips, 1 twist. Solid.
Coaches at Florida actually didn't want her to do that full in because it's so much force on the ankles coming back from an Achilles injury, but she insisted on it. She was so persistent that she wanted to do it.
Could you imagine Kayla DiCello's first routine back and she gets a perfect 10? What a storybook moment that would be.
And that injury that you've talked about, an Achilles tear at the Olympic trials in 2024, she, like Sky Blakely, was on track to make that Olympic team, see their Olympic team dreams come true, be part of a gold medal team that was almost guaranteed. And her and her teammate both torn Achilles tendons, heartbreak at the highest level. And here she is back on floor, as you mentioned, Sam, for the first time since then.
Taking a deep breath, you can hear a pin drop in this arena. Oh. Really missed the punch going into that last pass. Had a mental glitch, it seemed. Didn't prepare her body to land in the correct spot to get the amount of punch she needed. But man, this first pass was so strong. Huge full in, landing vertical.
And still so much to be proud of. Watch her knees right after this pass right here. They just bent, didn't get the proper punch, was supposed to do an extra half twist, but that's a learning experience. She should be really proud of that.
She gets a pass. First routine in 2.5, 3 years. You get a pass on that one. Great to see her back out on the floor exercise. First win in Florida, though. The Oklahoma Sooners in their program's history. Are you kidding? There's anything they haven't already done. That is it. Scores of 198 or better this season. Oklahoma 4, the rest of the NCAA 3. I told you it was going to be a race to 198. Oklahoma got there first, and they get the win, and they do it on the back of a high score on beam, a season high score in the NCAA on beam of a 49.7. Addison Feda, she gets the all-around title as well, so they come to a place Sam and Allie, so hard to win here, and they got their first win in program history.
It was really impressive. I think a lot of people thought coming in they might be tired. They might be fatigued. It's their third meet in 8 days, and guys, they were better. They showed up for the competition, and I think that should really make the Oklahomas feel good about the postseason.
And you know it's a fantastic rotation when you get to drop a 9.9. That couldn't have been better. They should be thrilled.
So a 9.75 for Kayla DiCello. Certainly going to be higher as we head into the rest of the season. Our final score, 198.075 for Oklahoma. They get it done for Allie Raisman, Sam Pesek, Taylor Davis, and our entire crew. I'm John Roethlisberger. So long from Gainesville. We'll get you out to the St. Louis Loyola Chicago college basketball game.